Good morning, CLC.
Good morning.
Thank you for your love and your presence. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your light. I invite you now, in this moment and at this time, to allow the great wave that is Spirit itself to just wash over you. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and take a nice deep cleansing breath in. And as you release the breath, allow that false face to just wash away, bringing out the love, bringing out the light, bringing out the I am that you are. Go ahead and take another nice deep cleansing breath in. And as you breathe out, allow your body to relax in this moment, letting go any tension or stress or anxiety held in your muscles. Relax and release. And allow your mind to be here, now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself up to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own, for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words: I surrender.
I surrender.
Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one very special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. Visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept.
I accept.
Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This could be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in this room or even on this planet anymore. I turn to that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in this room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I'm grateful for the good in your lives.
I got to tell you, this is pretty cool. I can't see you very well. I'm wearing these really, that's not the cool part. I'm wearing these really thick glasses, so please don't be offended if I look like right through you, because I recognize a few. Brian stands out because he's really tall, you know, but for the most part, it's like when I was in first grade, I couldn't see the blackboard, and I got put in these. And my whole life, I've worn these and then contact lenses, which, you know, can mask the issue. Tomorrow morning, all this changes. So next time you see me, which will be in 2 weeks from today, I'll recognize you. In fact, I'll recognize you at 200 yards. So, all right? You put that down. I see that. Yes. Slow down at that. Well, today is about, there's a thought that runs through my mind, and I bring it up occasionally in talks, and it kind of makes you think. We were the kids, you and I, who didn't fit in. We just were. And to a large part, you know, we still are. I mean, that kid is still in us. We didn't fit in the rule system, in the belief system, the theologies and stuff going on. How do I know that? Because we're here. You know. So we're blazing new trails. That's what New Thought is all about, is we're launching something new in the world. And ours is really a simple faith, which is what we're going to talk about in April, but which includes Easter. Ours is a simple faith, and the things that you hear that are complicated about it, like the deductive and inductive reasoning, subjective and objective natures of reality, all that kind of stuff, that's all footnotes. The main thing to remember is that the universe is a hospitable system for you, for all life everywhere. It's a hospitable containment system for life and for what you want to do. It has your back. It works for you, not against you. In many respects, it's neutral. That is to say, it's not going to do it for you. It has to be kicked into gear by the choices that each of us make in our lives. But once we make those choices, there's nothing to obstruct them. Things just begin to move forward. If this seems like a long shot, what I'm telling you, try it and see. And that's always what we encourage here. And as I also have been saying for a very long time, the main work of what we do in this teaching is done at home. I'm really grateful when you're here on Sundays in the room. I'm really grateful when you're here on Sundays online. But understand, this is just the tip of a very, very large iceberg. And that it is at home in our quiet time, in our spiritual practice that we set up. that we internalize the things that we learn here and the things that we read in the literature, such as the works of Emmet Fox, which is what we've been going through a little bit of. He wrote a lot of stuff. We've been going through a little bit of that this month. And the idea today is that, well, he's talking about the will of God for you, which is the way of God. It's the way of good in your life, and that for everybody there's a place where you fit in. And as Emerson, our friend, said, for you there is a fit place and congenial duties. How are we going to find these things? Last week was about noticing how you demonstrate in life, noticing the intention that you create around certain things. Today is about noticing the roles that you take on in life and your sense of self and how you express in the world. So I was looking for practical, concrete examples of this, and I didn't have far to look because March Madness is going on, and I'm sort of a college basketball fan. So I watched a little of this. Not a lot. I want you to know I was sitting there doing spiritual work, preparing for you today, and working on classes and things like that. But in between times, the Cougars played and stuff, and so I watched a little of this. And something struck me when you watch college basketball or lots of sports. Everybody has this role that they play, and we think about the athletes and how they run up and down the court, but there's this amazing little drama that goes on, kind of a dance that goes on between the coaches and the referees. From the moment the team comes out of the dressing room for the shoot-around and the warm-ups before the game starts, from that very moment, the coach has a problem with the referees. They glare at them, they sneer at them, they roll their eyes at them. Then once the game starts, every foul that's called is wrong. Every decision that any referee makes about anything is wrong. And the coaches get in the referees' faces and scream at them, and then they roll their eyes and they do all of this for the camera. You know, can you believe this fool who made these calls and stuff? And the referees, meanwhile, they play their role in all of this, which is they refuse to make eye contact with the coaches. Have you noticed that? It's like talk to the hand. And so the coaches are trying to get up in the referee's face to complain about stuff, and the referees are moving around and looking at the sky and doing all this where they don't have to interact, you know. And it's beautiful watching it. And you know that when the game's over, they all go have a beer. You know that it's all forgotten. It's just the game. And the same is true in baseball. The same is true in all these different sports. There's this role where, oh, you're the authority, so I have to resent you. And I've been wronged here because my player, you called a foul on my player. You know, he could have driven over the opponent in a truck, and you're calling a foul on him? My player that I trained? And I notice that you carry this out into the world a lot of times. We do this. We have this problem with bosses. We have this problem with anybody that we think controls our good in some way. Do you like your HOA? Do you have an HOA? Do you like them? You know, it's coming on tax season. How about the IRS? A lot of changes going on there, but you know what? Taxes will still be paid. Paperwork will still have to be filled out in some way. And we have these stories that we tell. Sometimes we're the victor, and sometimes we're the victim. And we fall into these roles unconsciously. I don't think the college basketball role is unconscious at all. I think it's good theater. It's good television, you know. It spices up a game that might be a blowout that people would tune out of anyway. And they'll tell you, that's another thing, the announcers, when they're calling these games, you know, they'll say, well, it's 135-12 here in the fourth quarter, but they could stage a comeback. And you know, why are they saying that? Because all the advertisers who were advertising right then in that fourth quarter are like, I don't want to lose my audience because I paid a lot of money for these ads. So they have to keep the people interested, and they have to make stuff up about what could happen down the road. So everybody's playing a role. And nothing about true spirituality says that you should drop all the role playing. Not at all. It says just be conscious of it. Strut and fret your hour upon the stage. If strutting and fretting is what the lines call for in the part that you have gone out for and landed. Strut and fret your hour upon the stage. Do the dramatic thing. Do all of this. But notice that you're doing it. Be aware of it, that you're doing it. And it makes for great comedy. And it makes for great tragedy. And you put the two of those together, it makes for great theater. It makes for great entertainment. We're not here to just trudge through this life and go to work and come home and have dinner and switch on the TV and all that. No, we're here to exuberate life. I made that word up. We're here to turn it into a verb. We're here to exuberate life in some way. So our friend Emmet Fox is telling us this today. He says basically there's something for you, his exact words, if I can make them out here. He says, there is a true place in life for each of us, upon the attainment of which, nobody writes like that anymore, upon the attainment of which we shall be completely happy and entirely secure. Upon the attainment of which we shall be completely happy and entirely secure. I beg to differ slightly. Nobody's entirely happy. Nobody's completely secure. If they were, they wouldn't be a choice anymore. They'd be locked in. They'd be on autopilot. What you can have, I believe, is a default of happiness. What you can have, I believe, is a background of security and confidence to what you do. But from time to time, you're going to feel the full range of human emotion. If you love something, it's going to change. It's going to change whether you love it or not, but if you love it, you have an investment in it. If you love a person, they're going to change, and the relationship is going to change and grow, and you're going to feel some things there. You ever have kids? You ever have parents? You ever have neighbors? You ever have anybody in your life that you care about? Well, they're going to move you around a little bit. You say, well, I don't want to be moved around by them anymore. You exclude somebody from your life, so somebody else takes their place, and so on, unless you live absolutely alone in a cave. And then you know what? They all live in your head, right? And everybody, all your past and stuff, it's sitting there, and it can be quite fully present for you when you're in the silence, undistracted, and even, in a way, more moving around, more emotional than when in actual conversation with people. So we're going to go through the full range of feelings, and that's a fine thing. That's a wonderful thing. We're equipped to do that. But isn't it great to have a backdrop of joy rather than a backdrop of anxiety? The backdrop of anxiety I've heard expressed as like when old analog TV sets, when you turn them on and there was snow. You remember? They said that's the background radiation from the Big Bang. I don't know if that's true. It was broadcast TV, so it could be, it wasn't run across cables and stuff. So, I don't know. Maybe that's true. But it's like there's if your background is snow, if your background is anxiety, if your background is static, white noise, that sort of thing, you don't sleep well. You don't digest your food well. You don't communicate effectively with other people. You always have this feeling of being haunted. Something's kind of looking over your shoulder. You're running out of time. You're running out of money. You're running out of whatever it is you need. How about replacing that with a backdrop of joy, which says, okay, today's a difficult day. I got some difficult things in front of me. That's all right. I can do it because I know who I am and I know the power that's working through me that is not entirely mine. It's not entirely, certainly, of my own creation, but my relationship with it is of my own creation. It's of my own shaping, my relationship with that power. See, there's a big difference between turning stuff over in your mind and turning stuff over to mind. Let's look at that a moment. Turning stuff over in your mind is what all of us were taught to do, which is you just sit there and think about things. Your parents ever say that to you? When you made a mistake or you did something, you just sit there. We'll call you for dinner, but you just go sit. You just sit there and think about things. So you did. You had nothing else to do. So you sat there and you thought about things. The first thing you thought is, this is so wrong, and you felt like the coach screaming at the referee. I didn't do it. I'm not responsible. So you were all in resentment and that. And then you kind of worked through that, and then you felt sorry for yourself. No, this isn't fair. So-and-so got away with it and I didn't, especially if you had siblings, I guess. And so you turned it over and you turned it over, and maybe you came to the conclusion, yeah, I did do something wrong, and I could do better next time, and I'm genuinely sorry. All of this is useful, but it's not transformational. Transformation occurs as you push through all of that, and you come to the place and you realize there is a power that's greater than I am. It's greater than my concept of things. It's greater than my grasp. It exceeds my grasp, you know. It's greater than all the information I've accumulated in my life. And I'm going to turn toward that in surrender, in willingness, which you just sang about. I'm going, or you're going to, I guess. Whoops. I'm going to turn to that and I'm going to say, so how could I do this better? How could I do me better? How could I do my life better? And it will show you. Why? Because it's a hospitable system. Also because it works by the path of least resistance. And this is another point I'm fond of bringing up, which is that all the hearts and flowers and stuff about love and kindness and charity and goodness, all of that's true and it's beautiful and it's wonderful, but also underneath all of that, it's functional. The world works better when people get along. That's why we're kind of built for relationships, you see. It's not just to procreate the species and have more of us, it's to have better of us. It's to have better of us. It's why we work off our rough edges in communication with each other. It helps the whole system. It's like, I don't know, you think about traffic, like merge lanes. They call it zippering on merge. Do you know what I'm talking about? When two lanes go down to one, which is a wonderful, wonderful traffic experience to have, especially at certain times of day, when two lanes go down to one. And they'll announce this for miles. Left lane ends. And the people in the left lane, including yours truly, will think to themselves, that's an old sign, and it doesn't mean me. All that construction, never mind all the orange barrels and stuff out here, never mind the trucks with the flashing lights. This cannot be real. This cannot be happening to me, that the lane I'm in is going to end. But then you find, sure enough, whoops, here it is. And what you're supposed to do then is zipper, which means one car from the left, one car from the right, one car alternating like that. You do this and you really don't have to lose a whole lot of speed. You have to lose some speed. Can't do it at 80 miles an hour. It's terrifying, but you can keep going. It doesn't have to back up for miles either. But sometimes we think, well, you know, I'm gonna beat the crowd, and there's always that one who'll zip on ahead. Life works better when we take turns, which we were taught in the sandbox. And maybe we thought that they were telling us that just so the teachers would have an easier time of it. Maybe it was really just functional on it. No, it was a life lesson that would be useful to be internalized at that stage, so that 20, 30, 50, 60 years later, it affects our driving habits. It affects how we do anything. It affects how we queue up in a line at the store. You see, so all of the kindness and generosity that's inculcated in us through spiritual systems has a practical function for the whole universe. The whole system works better. Now, does God care whether you and I are stuck in traffic? Nah, that's not really what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that in the big picture, it's important that you get where you're going. It's important to you. It's important to the people who are waiting for you there. It's important to the boss, and you know, if you're heading to work and all the rest of this. When your life flows, when you handle business, do what needs to be done, everything just moves more smoothly. And Emmet Fox makes the astonishing claim that if you will recognize this power that has an investment in you as being you and doing what you do in the world, if you will believe in that, all obstacles will be moved out of your way. And I agree with that mostly. My experience has not been that all obstacles are just moved out of the way, like in the night, you know, overnight while you sleep. They pick up all the orange barrels on the freeway. No, what happens is all the obstacles that remain in your life become easier and even enjoyable to work through. It becomes a challenge that doesn't defeat you. It strengthens you. You do this amazing thing. And I know I use this example countlessly, but I'm on a stage with musicians on Sundays. And these people, you know, the easiest thing they could do musically today? Stay home. They wouldn't have to sing. They wouldn't have to play. They wouldn't have to worry about hitting the wrong note. They wouldn't have to worry about running out of breath. They wouldn't have to worry about any of this kind of stuff. Why do they do this? Because it's an obstacle they want to push through. It's a challenge they want to overcome. Every Sunday I get ready to come here and give a talk. I have to sit down and think about what I'm going to say, try to make it interesting, try to make it useful, try to put myself in your shoes, think about what you're hearing and how you're going to implement this. You know what would be a whole lot easier for me? Retirement. You know when that's happening? Never, never. Never, never, never. They will lead me off the stage and, you know, sit me down. Oh, thank you. But you see what I'm saying? The path of absolute least resistance is simply do nothing. But we didn't come here to do nothing. We didn't come here to wear a body, to take care of it, to involve other humans in our lives, create complex networks of relationships, to learn language, to learn skills, you know, to learn history, to learn, for God's sake, algebra. We didn't, all of this, we did this to position ourselves to live in a larger way, life more abundantly, life more abundantly. So we come to a place where, so how do we get there? What do we do to know what it is we're here to do? It's pretty simple. There are clues everywhere. There are like, you know, pop-up ads and stuff on your phone or on your devices. And they get weird because because of algorithms. I've mentioned to you before, you look at a hat and all of a sudden the world is filled with hat ads. And whatever it is you're interested in, life kind of comes at you, devices come at you with hints, and that's an economic thing, you know. But life in the big picture, beyond the electronic aspect of it, works the same way. You put it out there. Life says, okay, well, you must be interested in this and this, so here's some sheet music for you, you know. Maybe you find it on the ground. I mean, here's a quarter. Call this number. Not anymore. Well, you know, but you see what I'm saying? Hints come at you. Clues come at you. And we say to ourselves, whoa, that's strange. And then we don't draw the connection. We should draw the connection. We should draw the connection. Jungian work, which I've been working with another group talking about that, but Jungian psychology and stuff is heavy on dream work. It says those dreams you have, write down what happens in the dream. As soon as you wake up, write down as much of it as you can remember, voice recorded or whatever. Why? Because it's your subconscious mind talking to you. It's giving you certain hints and clues. But we don't even have to go into the dream world to have this. It's everywhere. We'll overhear bits of conversation. We'll just encounter randomly hints and clues toward what our divine destiny is that we're self-creating. And it will always involve something enjoyable. And it will always, at some point, involve something scary. Because you're not just learning how to make music if it's not intended in the big picture that you should make music that no one's ever heard. It's not just about filling the role so as to support that which has already been done. It's about what they call today creating new content. It's about creating new content in the world, new breathtaking content that nobody has thought of. And sometimes it's about perfecting stuff that's been around a while, perfecting it and carrying it to the next level, although it will always continue to evolve, which brings me back to basketball. Because basketball, I looked this up for you, basketball was invented in 1891. by a guy named James Naismith, who was a Canadian-American individual who was the athletic director at McGill University in Montreal, and then he went on and came down into New England and stuff. And in Springfield, Mass., he was asked to create a physical fitness regimen indoors. Could be done indoors in the cold weather to keep athletes in shape. And he thought, And there was a child's game called Duck on a Rock. And it gave him some ideas. And so he asked somebody, he said, go get me 2 boxes. And the person went off and came back instead with 2 peach baskets. All right, well, we'll make those work. He says, let's put them up at either end of this gymnasium floor. And they had a ball of, I think, a soccer ball, And he said, so they'll run down and they'll throw the ball in the basket. And they run down and throw it. They hadn't invented dribbling yet. Dribbling came later. Dribbling came because somebody was trying to get around the rules. You couldn't carry the ball. You had to throw the ball, And somebody said, well, is it all right if I bounce the ball? And they went through the rule book and they said, well, it doesn't say you can't. That's like, cool, we'll dribble the ball, And so all of this got rocking along. Well, they'd run down the floor and throw the ball in the peach basket. And you know what? It would stay there. And they'd have to get a ladder out and go up and get the ball down and hand it to the other team. And then this is what they did. For years, this is what they did. Then this next part I just love. Somebody said, wait, this is crazy. And they said, let's have metal rims and put a net on it. So they did that. They didn't cut the bottom of the net out. Instead, they rigged up this incredibly complicated pulley system with a chain that would tip the rim with the net attached over and drop the ball out after a made basket. And from the invention of basketball in 1891, it took till 1912, which is, 21 years? 21 years before they cut the bottom out of the net. 21 years. Right? Can you imagine watching this on TV? If that's how it was done today. No, how incredibly, well, here it is. Every now and then the ball gets stuck, you'll see, and they have to get a ladder out, and that's kind of funny. But anyway, so somebody had the bright idea, and it sped things up, and it made it a real athletic game, and it invented this, it created this new dimension called rebounding. You weren't just shooting now, you were rebounding. Well, why I'm telling all this, besides I think it's a funny story, is that there's stuff in the world that you and I have looked at that's been the same for years, that just needs the bottom cut out of the net to make it reach its full potential. We have looked at conditions and circumstances and said, well, I don't know, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. There's not enough food to eat. People are unhoused. There's trouble in this world. There's lack in this world, in the midst of plenty. There's horror in this world in the midst of beauty. Well, that's just the way it is, And we've gone decades, we've gone centuries with some of these things, but we're being called now in a new direction. So if we're open to this one mind that's trying to grease the skids under everything and make everything flow more easily, it's going to tell us what we can do about that. So what I invite you to do in the coming week is look at your life and look and see if there's any area where stuff is stuck, where it's not working and it never really has, but it's the only way we know to do things, and you keep ratchet, and you sit there and you turn it over in your mind and you turn it over in your mind. Remember in this week that what you can do is turn it over to mind with a capital M. Turn it over to mind and say, show me now the next step that I need to take. So let's know together there is one life, one power, one presence, pure spirit. And it has an intention. It has a way. It has a patterning intelligence. And I'm open to it now. And I speak this word on behalf of everybody within the sound of my voice. Each one of us is open to it now. If we weren't able to use it effectively, we never would have heard of it, but here we are. And we can't shake it off. We can't forget that we know. We can't forget what we've seen about this power and how it's worked. We've seen it work before now. Now we're fully invested in it, fully engaged with heart, mind, and soul, knowing that the best is yet to come and that we are part of that. We're not simply spectators anymore. We are co-creators with the infinite. And that which is ours to do reveals itself to us easily, clearly, unmistakably, in a language we can understand, using symbols and elements that connect with our deepest knowing, and we follow where it leads. And where it leads is home. Home. The kingdom of spirit here and now. For this knowing and its manifestation everywhere we turn, I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now into the infinite, calling it done, and so it is.
Well, I guess I learned a new definition today for what zip it means. But I can tell you this, if you live in the woodlands, do not believe those road signs, because in several places it says road closed ahead and it isn't. So you just never know when to expect it. I also learned today that we're on the ball. In case you haven't guessed, Jesse's not just a basketball fan, he's a fan of almost all sports. And he uses a lot of wonderful sports analogies, which I wish I could do, but I can't. Sometimes we're crazy, sometimes we're even crazier. But you can rest assured when you get a message from us, whether it's in the room or it's online, it's during the week, it's always going to be positive, and it's always going to be based on helping you be a better person, helping you enjoy life more, and helping the world be a better place. That's what we're all about. It's helping the world be a better place. So as we come up to giving time, I just want to thank everybody for all your support for us, helping us to get this message out to the world. And please say with me, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
All right. I'm a little bleary-eyed because I spent all day outside yesterday, and I was listening today, and I was reminded of, you know how things kind of, he was talking about things that kind of stick around. So when I was in high school, I took a forestry class. You can ask me why later, but I took a forestry class my senior year in high school. And I graduated from high school being able to identify about 80 species of trees. Yeah. And the reason I'm telling you this is because there's this amazing tree called a live oak, which we've got a lot of around here. All those great big trees with the big spread. Now, most oak trees lose their leaves in the fall, and then they're naked until the spring, right? Well, live oaks are the ones that don't. They keep their leaves year-round. But in the springtime, what they do is they have this sudden growth spurt where they push all of the old leaves off kind of at once, which is why all of a sudden you'll see all these leaves on the ground in the springtime, and you're like, wait a minute. But because they're pushing the new leaves out and pushing the old leaves off. Why am I telling you this? Because it can be that easy. You know, if you're going to bring something new into your life, you can use that new thing to push out that old thing that has been just sitting there. Imagine yourself like a live oak. You're green year-round, but when it's time, you get that spiritual push, and you get new leaves. And then you make everybody else go, where are all these leaves coming from? All right, live oaks. Gotta love them. So I'm going to consciously invite you into the sacred. That is, as I like to say about Ernest, the drumbeat of Ernest, consciousness, consciousness, consciousness. It's all sacred all the time. What changes is our awareness of it, our consciousness of it. So I invite you to step with me now into the consciousness of the sacred. And into the consciousness of spring. Into that beautiful yellow-green of new. And know with me that there is one life. There is one power. There is one presence. There is one love. And in that love, we are. We are that presence. We live that life. We are that love. And when we open, that power flows through us and does amazing things. So I know for us this week, the greening, as we are preparing to spread our leaves and raise our branches up into the heavens, that our roots are deep and nourishing, that which we need comes easily to us, be it a word, be it a tool, be it a person, that they are highlighted by that brilliant glow that says me. And that we recognize and move forward. And we grow into who we truly are. And we fit more securely in the place that we have found. And we know who we are. Beloved expressions of the divine. And I am grateful. I am grateful for a teaching that teaches me who I am. I am grateful for a community that comes together to remind each other who we are. I am grateful for our practitioners, our ministers, our musicians. I am grateful for each and every one of you. I am grateful for the technology that allows us to send this out into the ether and to link all those amazing songs in so that you can use them to remind yourself through the week. And I am grateful because it's another word for love. And I release my word into the infinite with love, knowing that it is done, and so it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me. I feel it in my body. I feel it in my mind. I feel it in everything I am. I choose it. I trust it. I use it. And you know what else? I love it. And so it is. All right. All right.